Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Monday. It is April 13th, and I'm excited to be here as your host. Today we get to learn from Michael Huggins. Michael Huggins is an incredible individual. He and his wife, Vanessa, have been working this business around 9, almost 10 years now, and they have a lot to share with us. And I'm just very gracious that they spend their mornings with us to train with what's working. Michael, before Renatus, he was working 2 jobs. He was working for Jiffy Lube and Sears, working 2 jobs and still broke and frustrated. He wasn't able to afford himself a car. Just a couple people off mute. Excuse me while I mute these people. Okay. He was not able to afford a car or a bike. He actually borrowed his brother's bike and rode his bike to school, to work, excuse me. He rode his brother's bike to Jiffy Lube. He hit his bike in the bushes. He was embarrassed about it. Michael got good grades. He did what he was told was right to do and still found himself just drowning in debt and very frustrated and broke. And he realized that he needed to do something different. What he was doing was not working. And he did hear about real estate investing. So he went out and looked for real estate investing education. And thankfully, I'm so grateful that he found Renatus because of Renatus, Michael has really, really transformed his mindset and his life because of different personal development pieces that come along with Renatus and just the amazing people that we get to meet through Renatus. And it has just helped Michael to become who he is now. And so fast forward to today, Michael is an amazing investor. He's a fantastic marketer. He is on the President's Advisory Council with our CEO, Bob Snyder. I believe he's the youngest on the pack, which is kind of cool. Michael has earned himself multiple 7 figures through this program. And he's only 32. It's just incredible what you can do with the system that Bob has put in place for us. Michael has gone from Salt Lake City to Colorado. Now he's in Tennessee. He goes, back and forth and helps train all the different teams. He is the number 2 income earner with the entire company. And we're very, very fortunate to get to learn from Michael this morning. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Keely. Welcome, everyone, to the Money Monday webinar. And I know we got a lot of new folks on the line. We have been doing a lot of powerful marketing these last couple weeks, and it's working. So welcome all the new people. And if you're returning, well, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. You're staying consistent with your intention and you're following through. That's how things get done in this life, following through. So great job. I know some of you have been on these calls for 4 or 5 years now, and some of you have only been on for a couple weeks. So we're very consistent. Like Keely said earlier in the announcements, we have hundreds of recorded trainings over the years for you to pop into and just get caught up. Instead of waiting another week to hear from me next Monday, just go into the Renatus Team Elevate page and you can listen to an episode of me every day. And you can start to see why it's working for me, and you start to copy that, and you'll get the same results too. Or you'll get results. I don't know if you'll get the same ones. So, all right. Well, welcome, everyone. Glad you're all hopping in here. We just had 10 more people pop on. Right on. Okay, so I want to quickly talk about how to organize your flow. Every one of us has a flow, but if we're not organized with it, then it's not going to pay out as quickly. And I wanted to also remind everybody to be studying their drive system so that you know how to get leverage on yourself, but then also your customers. What is their drive? Director, relator, intellect, validator, executive. Regardless of where you fall in line with this, it's important to use the system that Bob Snyder set up here the way it was intended. He wants us to live full-time and work part-time. in a way. Now, I still work 40, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes between webinars and follow-up calls and one-on-ones and presentations and everything else in between. Yeah, we're still working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, depends on the week. But it's to enable a full-time living, right? Well, as most people for decades were only part-time living and full-time working. So it's not about the hours, it's about the depth of experience. So just want to put that out there. Get leverage on yourself. Make sure you're using these techniques and tools for your advantage. All right, now let's go over. I mean, this is it. This is all we really need to work on right here. This is our funnel. So we have the first part of our funnel is find the people. This is becoming a lot different than it was for the last 10 years, finding the people. Now, there are some similarities. We're still using Meetup, we're still using LinkedIn, we're still using Facebook and Eventbrite. But if you're in a bigger city, you can also do things like the Nextdoor app. People are very active on things like that. And we need to find the people. We need to share this message. Remember, you're not allowed to do Craigslist anymore unless you are using the Craigslist event section. Okay, so once we find the people, then it's all about telling the story. This is the picture of possibilities that you need to paint. People need to know what is possible by hanging out with us. So you have to tell them the story. You can't just say more money. Okay, I was on the phone 2 days ago with Rodrigo and his guest, and she was talking about how we were several stories in, but then she goes, well, and my husband works at RTD, which is the public transportation for Denver. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that reminds me of a story. And then I went into how one of our other students works at RTD, and he became 5-star. He's done a few deals. He still works at RTD, but he's gone full force with this opportunity. And so I just told his story so that she could see the picture of possibilities for her and her husband. If I would have just went, oh yeah, someone works there too. It's weak. We got to use stories. So something to remember is facts tell. But what are we here to do? We're here to sell. So facts tell, stories sell. And getting better at storytelling is going to be something that can possibly double your income. So you can also be looking up different Toastmasters groups to find the people and Toastmasters for telling stories. So after we have found that person and we've told the story, our next step is building for the event. Now this process works no matter what you're doing, whether it's real estate, marketing, dating, homeschooling, building other kinds of businesses. We're doing a couple online events for Vanessa's baby shower and a couple other things. And it comes down to this same thing: is find the people, tell a story, build for events. Right? What kind of events? We got online events, we got phone calls, we got recorded events, we got videos, we got different series we want people to go through. But the big ones that we're using right now are Thursday and Friday evenings are live webinars that are getting more people involved. I had a few more people over the weekend email me saying they're ready to get started based off of the webinar. As we're working out the tweaks with Helios, we'll be able to direct the guest a lot easier to where they go. So for now, I'm just saying, it's interesting. Sometimes IMAs won't follow up. So after we built for the event and the guest is there, and now the guest wants to know more, it's time to follow up and put that order in. But sometimes the ICM is nowhere to be found. They've run away from the sale or something, but that customer is still interested, excited, wants to sign up. So if you register them correctly, then when I put the order in, it'll just pop over to your business center, to your Helios, and you can see that order went in. So just make sure you're registering. Above all, register. That way we can put the orders in. At the follow-up, we do what's called an OEP. Me personally, I had 3 of those last week. An order entry party. We put the order in, we do a quick little orientation, and then we can actually, if we want to, because remember on Thursday we do multiple webinars. One of those webinars is an orientation. But we do order entry party, or we do get funded online. Sometimes people won't put their order in until they have the money, or we're just sticking with billing and the order's going in. This is our process. And then this is when we get paid. Yeah. So this is what Nate Lambert is doing. This is what Scott Rose is doing. This is what Keely Austin's doing. This is what Wanda Carrasquillo is doing. This is what Bill Predabon's doing. This is what we're doing. We find the people, we tell a story, we build for events, and then we follow up. Now, as far as spending time, I just did a 30-day challenge, and I got 11 sales in 30 days. Now, there were 6 essentials, 1 advanced, 1 upgrade, and 2 combos. So where or how we balance our time is going to be important with these 4 steps. I'll just share real quick the schedule and how the challenge went. It was a 30-day challenge. And I broke it up into 3 segments of 10 days. And this first segment was find the people and tell the story. Now, telling the story, like I said, you're telling the story of an event. Like, hey, I want you to come learn or come to this event because this is what you can learn. I want you to come to this event because this is who you can meet. Oh, I just thought of something. Maybe we do like a meet and greet webinar, something. It's more of like a social. Because, when we do the cash flow games and the house tours, there's like that hour afterwards. It's just social that we can't really do on the webinars. At least the way we're doing it now. Maybe we make just a separate one that's just for social. I don't know. Let's think about that. That would be another event, right? Okay, so I find the people, I tell the story. Here's why you should get on the webinar. Here's why, the big why. Telling the story. Why should you get on the webinar? Because you're getting hosed in taxes. Why should you get on the webinar? Because you need a system for your business. Why should you get on the webinar? Because you can improve this, that, and the other. Why should you get on the webinar? If you don't have a big enough why, then you're competing with news, you're competing with TV, you're competing with Netflix, which, they all have their own whys. So you got to get your why in. And that's why storytelling is so important. Seriously, get better at telling stories. They don't have to be long. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, everywhere in between. Then we build for the events. And we do the presentations. Now, I was doing my own presentations, and every one of you can too, because the presentations that I give, the slides are in Helios for you to use. So now it's about doing the presentation, not just talking about it. Now, obviously, you can use our live weekly, but if you're talking to someone on a Friday, you don't need to wait 6 days till next Thursday for them to get on the meeting. So you can, you could do the live weekly team webinar, which does create a lot of credibility when a new guest pops on and they see 200 people with their cameras on and all working together. It's a lot easier to make sales. You could do your own. Just say, you know what? I already found you. I already told the story. I already told you about what to expect with our next step, which is a presentation. So you know what? Why don't we just do it right now and do your own? Or you can send a recording. Now, which one of these makes the most money? If you can only do one, which one would make you the most money? It would be doing your own. Doing your own creates more credibility in the eyes of your customer, because now they see you in an authority position. And we've talked about this before, but I'll just briefly remind you guys that you need to be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a person of authority. So when you are doing your own webinar, of course you're the authority. So if you're sharp, you're picking up what they're saying, you're guiding the conversation, you're stepping when they're stepping, you're enthusiastic as hell, you're so excited, you're spreading that enthusiasm, you're making sure they know that it's not just about you or just about the money, but it's about the whole picture, and your enthusiasm is going to translate very well. And then a person of authority. Are you in charge? Do you know what you're doing? Are you a force to be reckoned with? Do you have specialized knowledge? Do you have at least enough specialized knowledge to point them in the right direction? Do you have people or resources that make you an authority? So these three things need to be present in every step. They need to be present when you're finding the people, when you're telling the story, when you're building for events, when you're following up. Okay, then next would be the weekly webinar, and then finally sending them a recording. Obviously, the recording is the nicest or the most convenient, because you don't have to work and you can just send it right away. And when you're sending recordings, I need you to follow this process. Okay, when you're sending recordings, if you want more people to watch it, so when you call them, they actually frickin' watched it, here's what you need to do. If I, would you? Say it this way. You get way more people to watch it. This is bad. This one's in here is bad. This is where I see people making a huge mistake. They say, do you want me to send you the webinar? And then they just leave it at that. Do you want me to send you the webinar? And then the guest says yes, and then you send it. Well, now you did your part. They did their part by telling you the yes that you wanted to hear, and you did the sending, but that was it. And now it's sitting in their inbox. You wait a couple hours, and more emails have pushed it down. Waited a couple days, more emails have pushed it down, and now they don't even see your freaking invitation. So that is not the question. This is a no, doesn't help. It said, if I sent you the recording now, would you watch it now? Isn't that what we want? We want this now. Now. If I would you. Okay, this is so powerful when you put it this way. Because now it's almost like a contract. And if I did this, will you do that? If I would you. So then you're going to get a yes from them. Now you get a yes. Okay, would you watch it now? And then you say, okay, great. So if I call you tomorrow, you'll have seen it for sure. Okay, and remember when with your tonality, you got to go up on your tonality with stuff like this. So if I call you tomorrow, you'll have seen it for sure. Okay, in this more optimistic type of confirmation. And then guess what? They're going to say yes. So now we're getting 2 yeses. Boom, boom. And then you say, okay, great. One more time. Sweet. What time makes sense? What time makes sense to connect? And then we get our answer, which is another form of a yes. And now we've gotten 3 yeses before we send the recording. Before you send the recording, you must get multiple yeses if you really want them to watch it in a timely fashion. I'm telling you, it is so frustrating and annoying to send out a webinar. They said they'll watch it. You don't get these kind of confirmations. They'll just like, yeah, I'll watch it. And then you put it on this just happened on Friday with someone else's guest. So I didn't get to have the main conversation, but I called her back. We had an appointment for 5 o'clock on Friday, called her, and she didn't watch the webinar. Okay, so I had blocked out my day thinking I'm about to have a 1-hour appointment with someone who's interested. And the lady was freaking shopping at Lowe's. She wasn't even like, oh, I'm ready for my appointment. I just didn't watch the webinar. Like she just didn't, it wasn't even on her radar. So you got to get these 3 yeses or 3 kinds of confirmations because your time is incredibly valuable and you need people to follow through. You're not going to call them back. Call the next person that follows through, right? So then what I usually do at the end of this part, after we say, sweet, okay, time makes sense, then I'll say, perfect. It's in my calendar. That way they know it's in my calendar. Talk to you then. It's so important to run a solid schedule for your business and not just, it can't be random or else your income will be random. Do you want $50,000 months consistently? Then you need to have your calendar booked consistently. Okay, so that is in my 30-day challenge. All right, so I'll just go over it again. Find the people, tell the story, and you book all these appointments. This whole phase here is all about booking appointments. Right, you could use the 15-minute briefing here to get people interested. And then once they're interested, now it's time for presentations. Doing presentations, building for events. Obviously doing your own gives you the most credibility and the most practice. It just becomes just way more effective. If we had, there's 141 of us on the line, 142 right now. If we each did our own presentations for our guests throughout this year, right, for the next What do we have left? 38 weeks we got left this year, something like that. If we all did our own, do you realize the kind of strength and momentum we would create? Because we would, like, think about it. If each of us, this 141 that we have on the line here, 142, if each of us did our own presentations this week, we had our own guests, we did our own presentations with our own funnel. Right, we're doing our own events here. These, as our guests go through this funnel, in 1 week, if 142 of us each did it, we could get 142 new people. I'm not even joking. This is a no-brainer business. When people see it and they are dealing with someone who is sharp, enthusiastic, and a person of authority. When you do your own, you're all three of these. Now, obviously, we're going to keep up the main weekly meeting because new people need good examples of how to run it. But if we got 142 new people next week, and then this just duplicated week after week after week, guys, we would add 50,000 people to our team or to our organization, to our company. And it creates a new round of credibility, which everybody's looking for, right? Everyone's on the internet wondering, is this person real? Is this person real? Is this person real? Well, if you give them a one-on-one presentation and you're doing it, you're in control, you're driving the conversation, then once you follow up, right? So we got find the people, tell a story, bill for events, follow up. Follow up is we're putting in billing, we're doing get funded online, we're doing your 401k. When someone hops off of a recorded webinar, then you have to schedule this conversation. If you're doing your own live webinar, you just have this conversation when you're done with your last slide. Now, some of you are going, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. What if? Maybe I'll just let Scott do it, or Michael do it, or Nate do it. Maybe I'll just let Wanda do it. If you let other people do it, they'll make more money than you. That's what I learned. Now, we're happy to help. I'm going to do a weekly webinar for the next 10 years. I don't care. I'm still going to do it. But I want you guys and gals to be thinking about how to have a bigger impact, especially with how many people are just sitting at home right now. How many people are sitting at home right now? Get them to watch this 15-minute briefing. Do your own presentation. If you can't or won't do your own, then obviously plug into the live weekly meetings that we have. And if your guest won't plug in, then obviously send them a recording. Just remember the format. Then in doing the presentations, after that phase was over, then we get into the OEP, order entry. This was overcoming objections. A lot of people were like, well, what about this virus thing? And I said, well, yeah, what about your job? You don't have a job, so you should start a business. See, there are two kinds of people that recognize that. Some people go, okay, I don't have a job, I should start a business. And other people go, I don't have a job, I should wait to start a business. I don't understand that second one. But sometimes people will say that. So you got to overcome those objections. Wait a minute, you don't have a job. Well, you only had a job as a source of income. Well, businesses are also sources of income. So you're saying you're not going to start a source of income because you don't have a source of income? That's kind of stupid, don't you think? And then they go, oh, yeah, you can help me? Okay, let's do it. So order entry party, funding, and then orientation, getting them on board, onboarding. Orientation. And that was my 30-day challenge. And it was interesting to also have a nationals in that, a lockdown in that. But I did a lot of phone calls. I probably made 500 phone calls in those 30 days. I will go back and get my actual numbers, but I probably did somewhere around 500 calls. And then I leveraged the weekly meetings. I did my own, and then I also sent recordings. I probably had 50 people go through presentations. There's a lot of people that just said, call me later, which is fine. Then out of those 50 that went through the presentations, we got 11 to enroll. So it's just about work. It's about action. It's about activity. And you got to have your right mindset around action, activity, work, this whole thing. So one of the things for your mindset, let's be clear that this is a very dynamic, fluid, moldable thing. It's not set in concrete. Your mindset from yesterday doesn't have to be today's mindset. Isn't that great news? So I would like you to try on and make an affirmation. Right? We talk about affirmations. Affirmations plus action. So the affirmation is, I add value to other people's lives. I add value to other people's lives. Say this 1,000 times. You can say it 10 times a day over the next 100 days, or you can say it 100 times a day over the next 10 days. But once this gets into your subconscious mind that you add value to other people's lives, then when it comes time to finding the people and telling the story, if you know that you're adding value when you're talking to people, and you know you're adding value when you're telling the story and building for events and following up, then you have a lot more fun. If you think you're bothering them, like what would the opposite of this, I add value to other people's lives? The opposite would be I bother other people, right? I waste other people's time. And I feel like if you're not doing this, then somehow in your brain you're thinking you're wasting other people's time. And that's why you won't do this funnel. So how do we do the opposite? Affirmations, recognition that I add value to other people's lives. My life improves as I lead others. And when that little voice comes up that says, should I make that phone call? Should I not? What should I do? Well, if this is built in as the norm, then of course you'll call people because you will be adding value to their life. And when you call people and you genuinely share what we're doing, and you're sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a person of authority, then they're going to do what you say. And what are you telling them to do? You're telling them to get on our live weekly meetings, or hop on one with me, or watch this recording. And then a certain amount of people will return your phone calls, and we put them into the funding process. Okay, so now that I've talked about that, I will start taking some questions now. Let me catch up on the chat here, but go ahead, whoever's got a question.
Hey, Michael, this is Brigham Blackham. I asked a question to Richard Stock yesterday, and he gave me a great answer, but I want to hear your take on this. What is the most unique message that Renatus has for you?
What is the most unique message Renatus has for me to use when sharing to my guests?
My idea is, what is the one thing that our company does or has that no one else does? What's the unique message? Because we have a handful of things that we do, but for you, what is your go-to that you're like, this is what we do and we think it's important because of X, Y, or Z?
Okay. Well, in a way, I would answer that based off of the person's drive, Brigham, based off of, I mean, there's mine. For me, my drive is different. If I was talking to somebody, I would phrase the answer to your question based off of their drive. So that doesn't really answer your question. I would say, okay, I got it. It's how I start out every webinar that we've been doing lately. I think the biggest message for me is that we go from a life of default to a life of design, and that we can help people go from wasting all their money in taxes, interest, and then trying to live off of 1/3 of their money. If we design it, we do 10% tax, 10% interest, that leaves 80% for our life. I think the most powerful message is that we create that bridge between the default and the design. And people can grasp that. They go from this default life to design life inside of 30, 60, 90 days. Now, obviously, you're not going to see your tax bill for a year to know what your percentage is, but you can do the math ahead of time and start to see, like, okay, this used to be a post-tax expense, now it's a pre-tax expense. And you can get a general sense of, yeah, okay, I'm drastically cutting my tax bill down. You see your velocity banking and your credit management, your business credit classes, all of those start to eliminate your interest. So without even making more money, right? This is without earning more money, we've made this shift. And I think that in someone's career of Renatus, if you're thinking they're on like a 10-year timeline, and this is where they have all the everything, right? Because it's going to take time to get all the everything. But all the everything that you've been thinking of, the health you're after, the wealth you're after, and the relationships that you're after. Obviously, you're going to improve along the way. We got our milestones. But this concept right here, Brigham, this is like one of the very first things that happens. And so it triggers the rest of the stuff to happen in someone's business and personal and health life when they go from a default way of living to this designed, intentional way of living. I mean, another way of saying this would be, this is compulsive and this is conscious. How do you want to live your life? Compulsively or consciously? So we help people become conscious of their life, their finances, their health, their wealth, their relationships. We got this, career path people can go down, so to speak, and create some personal revolutions.
We've got a few people off mute.
Does that answer your question? Is that helpful?
Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you for adding value. I appreciate that.
I add value. Okay, Alvin Lamb, you're off mute. What's up?
Hey, sorry. I got disconnected because my internet is horrible. But please continue. I love hearing your voice. Bye, everybody.
Oh, okay. Right on. I want to make sure we're sharing the platform here.
Michael.
Yes.
Michael? All right. I was wondering, I've got a question. I was wondering, so as far as your team is concerned, people that have been inactive for a little while on the team, how do you get them re-engaged? what's your favorite method on getting people re-engaged?
Asking them, why did you start? I don't give a crap. I don't care at all why you quit, paused, stalled, got distracted. I don't care about any of those whys. You know, too many people, well, this person said this, or my guest, whatever, or I got distracted with work, or blah, blah. I don't care why. None of those whys. My question is, why did you start? Why did you start? Because that's going to be the why that pulls you through whatever distraction story that you're in. So, having to listen clearly, because if people say, oh, I started because I wanted to make more money and I'm not making as much money as I thought I would, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not really why. Money isn't why. Because then it's like, well, why did you want the money? And why did you want that to want the money? Why did you want that to want that to want the money? When you get clear on their why, this is, Del Jensen told this to me a long time ago. He says, if your why, and maybe he stole this from someone because it's so profound. If your why is big enough, you can, and maybe we pick a different word, but this is what he said, endure any how. Why you're doing it versus how you're doing it. The how might sound really hard, right? Oh, make 500 phone calls in a month. Whoa. But if your why is big enough, you can endure or overcome or perform, I like that, anyhow. So I get connected with their why first, because the how is simple. The how is a blueprint, right? The how is find the people, tell a story, build for events, follow up, do your affirmations, change your mindset, add value. That's the blueprint. But why we're doing it is all different. Cool. Thanks for that question, Charlotte. So,
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you.
yeah. So remember, this week is another powerful workshop. We every single week at the end of the Thursday, when I say who's at number one, people are saying I'm a one, sign me up now. We had a really fun follow-up house tour on Friday. Now we're going to figure out how to make the Thursday a little bit shorter. And but the Friday is also pretty interactive. We had 52 people on the Friday follow-up and getting orders in on that way too. Does anyone have any questions about the events this week? How to use them, what to expect, what to do?
Michael, this is Wanda.
Michael?
We got Wanda and then Yvonne. Go ahead, Wanda, and then we'll come over to Yvonne.
I just want to know, are we going to have Super Saturday on Saturday?
Super Sábado. Yes. Yes, we're going to have Super Saturday this Saturday, April 18th, 4/18/2020. So we'll be sending out messages and links. Check the calendar. It's going to be a few hours going over systems, processes, the updates. For some reason, there were people that didn't go to nationals, but there'll be a Super Saturday, so we need to update them on what's going on. So check the calendar, be involved in that. I know Chicago did a really awesome Super Saturday this week, and so we're trying to get it from every angle. Go watch theirs, watch this one, participate, be involved. Yes, Super Saturday. Thanks for the reminder, Wanda. Yvonne, what's up?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
I want to say I do enjoy your meetings, and I do have a new team member. So I wanted to find out, is it possible that I can get access to your text system so that whenever you're having the meetings, we could be notified?
So I don't send out the meetings, like the weekly meetings stuff. I don't send out in a text. We just put it on our Facebook group.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay. Thank you.
are you a part of our Facebook group?
I am not sure, but I will definitely find out in a second.
Okay. So the group that I want you
I
to
don't
be
recall seeing notifications.
is this one right here. Renata's Team Elevate.
I don't think I'm following that one, but I'll start today. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely should. We got 1,684 members in here. Just remember, everyone, please read this cover photo. Follow the instructions that are in here. Okay, this isn't a place for you to raise capital or sell your wholesale deals. This is about marketing and support and sharing successes. Like Heather, look at this, Heather. She just got her 1-star this week. Woohoo! That's exciting stuff. So, you know, this is where, oh, cool, we're live right now. Oh, this will look awesome in a second. Nice. Facebook inside of Facebook. So put your new folks in here. Here's some of the new recording links that you can use if you want to. Team stuff, more team stuff. Oh, here we go. So this was the announcement, Yvonne, right before we did our meeting on Thursday. So Thursday at noon said, hey, here's a reminder. These are the links that we're using. English, Spanish, onboarding, follow-up, and study group when. So here's how to join. Please register. Zoom room etiquette. Please resist the ICM jargon. Only use regular people language. Okay, don't be using ICM language. The Zoom box, chat box is for success stories, positivity, and edification, not teaching. So when I say something about credit, you don't type up 3 paragraphs about how someone can improve their credit. Or if I talk about retirement accounts, you don't. That's not what it's for. You can say, I used it, I liked it. You could do encouraging stuff, edification, but not teaching. And there are about 15, sometimes 20 co-hosts that I've assigned that will answer people's questions and help them stay organized, move different detailed questions to the private chat. But that's how we're operating, and that's kind of what we expect. It's been working. We're getting sales in.
Hey,
So,
Michael, this is Anna. How are you?
good morning, Anna. What's up?
Hey, just another reminder to all ICMs that are hopping on the calls on Thursdays, Fridays, to make sure they register themselves. It's very important for us as co-host registrars to get them in the, checked in the system, please.
Register, 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 register. Please use the calendar. It's going to make everybody's life easier. It also adds professional courtesy to what we're doing, right? If you are sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a person of authority, guess what you would do? You would register your guests. So thanks for that reminder. Chuck, what's up?
Somebody was asking in the chats, so on the if I would you, somebody says no. How would you not sound salesy or pushy?
On the very first one?
Yeah, on the very first, if you say, if I sent you this, would you watch it? And they say, no, how do you respond to that?
So the first part would be, what they would say no to in this question would be the now part of my question. So then I'd say, okay, I guess I would take one step back and go, well, are you interested in learning how our real estate online business works? And then if I get a yes, and I'd say, okay, I would take the now out, and I'd say, so if I sent you the recording, would you watch it? And then if they say yes, and I'd say, okay, wonderful. Wonderful. When? When do you think you could watch it by? When do you think you could watch it by? I get my when, and then they'll say, 2 weeks from Tuesday. All right, well, I got my date on there, so great. So if I called you 2 weeks from Tuesday, you'll have seen it for sure. And I'll just go right back down the line. You'll seen it for sure? Yes, okay. Well, time makes sense. I'll see you there. Great, it's on my calendar. If they say no at the very beginning, if I sent you a recording, would you watch it? And they said no, then I would have to revisit. Well, why are we talking? What do you think I'm offering that you're looking for in such a way that you would say no to me sending you a video? It's very rare, I guess is what I'm saying. Linda,
Yes, I have a question.
go for it.
So my guests watched the Thursday, and they got off saying it was too long, too intensive, too expensive. How do I do a follow-up on that? I had 3 guests, and they all got off early, and that's everything they said.
Well, I mean, it totally depends on the guest. When I wasn't doing the presentations, right? I'm in a different position now. When I wasn't doing the presentations and Richard was doing it, I was acting like Bob was doing the presentations. And when I would tell the story, I would be edifying Richard, but also, Alinda, did you tell him that it was going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours? Did you give him a time frame?
I did. I told them it'd be 2 hours because that's what it usually is.
Yeah. So if they said, I don't know, I first would laugh at them. If you had previously told them it's going to take this much time, they said, okay, I'm in. And then they say it takes too long, I would call them a name.
Oh.
Really? Like, how are we going to work together? If I told you 2 hours, you said cool, and then it goes 2 hours, you say it's too long. This is stupid. Yeah. I don't know if we can work well together. Depending.
Okay.
Maybe.
I was just wondering how to follow up with somebody because, it was all 3 of them. And
well,
I don't know.
We're going to shorten it up. But for those 3 people, then it would just be like, well, at what point did you hop off? I'll, finish filling it in from there. But too intensive, I don't understand that either. Like, too much information.
Sure. Too much information, and every one of them, as soon as the pricing was done, that's when all 3 of them left.
So the pricing was done at minute 70 or 75. So there was still plenty of time to go over free gifts, right? And I tell them at the beginning, hey, if you stay to the end, you get a free gift. So maybe all of you on the line, when you're building for these events, you can tell them, hey, at the end of the event, there's a free gift. If you stay to the end, you'll figure out how to get it.
Okay.
That would help.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And we'll dial it in. Let me know next week. Okay, everybody, I'm 2 minutes late to the pack call. What
will be the free gift?
Oh, what's up?
What will be the free gift?
Oh, you haven't been on the webinar. It's my book.
Well, I have requested to be on the Facebook, and it's been sitting out there for the longest to be approved.
For
the team Elevate, Renata's Team Elevate on Facebook.
There's no approval. You just join.
Me too, Michael.
Well, I just tapped on join, and it says, requested, just waiting. It hasn't been approved, so.
And we don't see all the information.
Yeah, this is Skylar, and I'll go on and make sure that everyone's on there. So if you can put your name in the text box. I know Michael's got to jump, so if you want to put your name in the text box for the Zoom chat, I can go in there right now and take care of that.
All right, and then where would I find the free gift? I know you got to go, Michael.
When you
Yeah, so you can.
go ahead, Skylar.
Yeah, you can just when you come on to the webinar this week, there'll be a link at the end. I can also put it in the group text box. It's basically just a follow-up link at the end of the webinar.
Okay, thank you.
You will get Michael's free book.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Cool.
Cool. So glad I have two computers. Launching my other Pat call right now. Okay, guys. If you think of other people that need to be added to this group to get these resources and everything else, feel free to add them and follow through. Follow up and follow through. Your dreams matter. You matter. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everybody.